All right, so come right up to the front of your chair and have your shoes off, please, if you can. That would be lovely. And then just kind of look down at your feet. Are they there? All right, making sure they're there this morning. All right, let's keep the balls of the feet on the floor. We're just going to lift and lower the toes. Just going to start with some toe lifts and lowers here this morning. Warming up the toes a little bit. Breathing in, breathing out. All right, and then let's lift and lower just the big toes. If you can keep all the little guys on the floor, just lifting and lowering the big guys. I don't know why they're guys. They could be ladies. Big folks. All right. And then keep the big one on the floor, and we're going to lift and lower all the littles. That's harder for some, yeah. Right? Yeah, those little toes, they need their big toe to do whatever they're doing, right? So lifting and lowering, especially together. Yeah. We're already creating some stress this morning. Yay, right? All right, let's lift all the toes up. So keep the balls of your feet on the floor. Those are the knuckles, right? So with your toes lifted up, spread them out a little bit, and then we're just going to lift and lower the bigs. Just the bigs, not the littles. Uh-huh. So if those little toes are going down, see if you can convince them to stay up. That's a hard sell. All right, and then lift everybody up, and now we're going to hold the bigs up, and we're going to lower and lift the littles. So breathing in, breathing out, just lifting and lowering the littles. How fun is this? All right, and then just lower your toes, all of them, down to the floor. Sit up nice and tall, close your eyes. Let your neck and shoulders relax. Take some nice deep breaths. So we're just transitioning from our feet. We started off looking at our feet, and now we're just going to go right into the breath. So noticing the breath, sometimes just taking a big breath in, maybe letting out a sigh. Sometimes that's a good transition. And notice how you're breathing this morning, how the air is moving in and out of your body. Are you able to breathe through your nose? Is your breathing fast or slow? Is it shallow or deep? And can you start to breathe a little more deeply, as if you could breathe all the way down into your belly? So when you take a breath in, see if you can send it all the way down to your belly. And as you breathe out, see if you can bring it up from your belly, all the way out. So I know we got the lungs in between, we got the diaphragm in between, but we're just kind of focusing now on breathing in and letting the belly kind of receive the breath so it bellows out a little bit. And then breathing out and letting the breath come from the belly all the way up and out through the nose. And the next time you take a deep breath in, I'm going to ask you to pause and hold that breath for a moment. And then breathe in a little bit more if you can. And then slowly exhale. I'm going to do that a few times. So breathe in and fill your body, and then pause at the top of the inhalation. Take in a little more breath. And then slowly exhale. Do that twice more. So going at your own pace. So you're taking your big breath in, and then you're pausing for a moment before you take your next little breath in before releasing. And last time, we'll make this the last breath. Maybe you've done 3, maybe this is just 2. So breathing in and then pausing, taking in your extra little bit of breath, and then breathing out slowly. And then returning to your natural breath with the air just moving in and out through your nose. You can let your eyes open gently. Good. All right. And we're going to sit back in the chair. So sitting back in the chair, we're going to extend the legs and we're going to point and flex the feet. So moving from the ankles here, right? So as you're doing this, you might hear a little noise in there, a little snapping, a little cracking. That's pretty normal. And then let's circle around. And again, you might hear some noises in there. That's okay. And then circle the other way. And then let's do like a little windshield wipery movement with the feet. Good. Excellent. And then let's see if we can look on the bottoms of the feet on the big toe side, like you're checking for gum on the insides of your feet. Right? You stepped on some gum there. And then let's go to the outside. So again, it's like you're looking for gum on the outsides of your feet. So we're going to go back and forth from the inside to the outside, inside to outside. Do that a few more times. Good. Okay. You're just kind of noticing what that feels like, right? So now let's kind of pedal the feet. So you're pointing and flexing one and the other. So you're not moving your legs. This is just your feet, right? So it's just at the ankles. Good. And then let's see if we can circle the ankles in opposite directions. So the right is going in and the left is going out. And you're breathing. And then go the other way. So the feet are going in opposite directions. Right? Wow, we jumped right into it this morning. If you're doing this, they're going in the same direction. You want one to go in and one to go, and if you're doing this, you want one to go in and one to go out. Kind of crazy, right? All right, let's relax that. Let the legs kind of come down. Slide forward on your chair. So we're going to do a little bit more. We're going to focus on the lower body today. So let's take the right foot and we're going to come up into a Barbie foot. So do you all know what a Barbie foot is? Yeah. So the Barbie foot, for those who are maybe not familiar, is when we come up like you're in a really high heel. So we're stretching the bottoms of the toes now. And we're stretching the bottom of the foot, not just muscles, but fascia, which is the connective tissue there. And then if you put a little more pressure on the big toe side, you'll stretch more of the big toe and the arch here. And if you put a little more pressure on the little toe side, you'll stretch more of the outer part of the foot. So what I'm going to invite you to do is kind of go back and forth a little bit, right? So kind of go from the inside to the outside. Go nice and slow, right? So you want to keep the foot in this really extended position so you're feeling that. Put a little more pressure there if you can. If it feels painful, if it's too much, just back off your pressure a little bit here, right? So we're stretching this way, not that way, right? So we're stretching that way. Good. Now for some of us, if we've got like a little limitation in the big toe, like say with a bunion, or you've got some limitation in that joint, that can be a little bit uncomfortable. So just don't put quite so much pressure there, but if you can get some pressure there, if your toe joint is a little bit restricted, this can really start to open that up. And then for some of us, it's going to be the little toe, like, you know, you have your foot like this and that little toe is just hanging out in space, not doing much. So you're going to lean over into that little toe side and see if you can get that stretched a little bit. So find the position that gives you the most sensation, and you're just going to stay there for a couple of breaths, right? So oftentimes when we bump up against a lot of sensation, when we're moving through anything in life, right? You bump up against a lot of sensation, what we tend to do is hold our breath or start to restrict it. It's like, So if I'm holding here because I've got a lot of sensation in that foot, and then I consciously start to deepen my breath, relax around my breathing, something really interesting happens. The sensation in my foot changes. My perception of what's happening down there can actually change. So you can find another position, maybe do the same thing, just kind of hold there. Okay, so like the big toe is feeling like it needs a little more, or the little toe feels like it needs a little more. Usually the middle toes, they just go along for the ride. So whatever's happening with the big toe, whatever's happening with the little toe, they just kind of hang out there. So we're still in this Barbie foot. We're pressing down a little bit more, breathing in, breathing out. Okay. And now we're going to move from the Barbie foot, we're going to come into like the point. So we're going to come up onto the top of the toes right up here. So for those, it'll be whichever toe is the longest for you. And what I want you to do is try and have as little pressure on the tops of the toes as you can. So you've got to use the muscles here in your leg to keep those toes just barely touching the floor. It's like you're placing the toes on an egg. And if you put too much pressure on that egg, it'll crack. And that's about $10 these days, so we don't want to do that. So we're just kind of holding the toes on the top of, or the top of the toes. You might be surprised to notice your second toe is longer than your first toe, if that's true. You might be surprised that your big toe is longer or your third toe is longer, right? So feet come in all kinds of different shapes, which is so cool. We're not the same. So we're just kind of holding here, and we're getting some sensation here in the thigh, yeah? That thigh's doing some work? Good, good. Okay, so then we're going to come to the next point. So we did our Barbie foot like that, then we came up on the toe, and now we're going to go over onto the tops of the toes, and that looks like this. So here I was in Barbie foot, and that was on top, and now I'm going over the tops of the toes. So this is a stretch for the top side of the toes and the top side of the foot, which doesn't often get a stretch. So you put as much pressure on this as you feel comfortable. If the floor is super hard, use your shoe, or I know some of you have a towel or something, you can always do that, just to kind of insulate, because there's not a lot of flesh here. There's a lot more bone on the top part of your foot. So once again, if you press more into the big toe side, you're going to feel it. It's going to be here in the front of the shin, right down into the front of the foot near the big toe. If you press more into the little toe side, you're going to feel that in the outer part of the ankle and up into the outer part of the leg a little bit. So just kind of going back and forth. And we want to be gentle with this. So we don't want to put a lot of pressure. When we get into Barbie foot, you can really take a lot of pressure there because you got 4 layers of muscle on the bottom of your foot. And on the top of your foot, you got like 1. So it's not a lot there. So keep pressing, keep kind of going back and forth, noticing what you feel, right? So for me, I'm feeling like I need a little more on that little toe side. It's just feeling like, ooh, there's a lot going on there this morning. So inhaling and exhaling. If this is making you hold your breath or it's making you feel like you're catching your breath, just don't press quite so hard. You can always go back to having your foot on the floor as well. So you might be feeling this more up into your shin. Okay. And then let's come back to up on the top of the toes. So in that point position, right, like a ballerina, right up on the top of the toes, but you're ballerina on top of an egg. Right? So you don't want to put hardly any pressure there. You're just kind of almost hovering, but you can feel your toes kind of touching the floor. And then let's finish with a Barbie foot. So press into the toes so we're getting a nice stretch through the bottom of the toes now, right? And the toes hopefully are splaying out a little bit. So when we press into the bottoms of the toes, we splay out. Push a little more into that leg, into that foot to get more, a little less if you need a little bit less. All right. Okay, and then relax that foot and slide all the way back into the back of your chair. We're going to do that little exercise again. So lift your legs up, point and flex your feet. And as you're doing that, I want you to notice any difference between your right foot, leg, ankle, and the left. And then circle around. Right? And do you notice, do you have a little more range of movement? Does it feel more open in the ankle, in the leg, in the foot? Circle the other way. Okay, check for gum. Can you see better on the right than on the left? Right? Do you have a little more of that kind of movement in the foot, right? Okay, and then let's just do a little windshield wiper with the feet and see if you can move just the feet, not your knees and your hips. Right? So there'll be a little movement in the knees, but try to make it as minimal as possible. And keep breathing. Keep your legs extended. And now let's see if we can get the knees in there. So you're doing your windshield wiper and you're moving your knees a little bit. So your knees actually have a little bit this side to side. And now let's get the hips in there. Right? So now you can really move the whole leg from way up in the hip. Notice how much bigger your windshield wipers get. Right? And then go back to just the knees, so the hips are stable. And then just the feet. Good. And then relax your legs, let them come down. Close your eyes for a moment. Let's take a couple of breaths in and out. Just noticing. We're going to slide forward for one more little check here. We're going to check in with the feet. So with the feet on the floor, tripods right down there. That's your heels and the big and little toe ball mounds. We're going to lift and lower all the toes. So notice if this feels different now that we've done all these kind of stretches. And then let's go to just the big toes, lifting and lowering, just the big toes. And keep the big toes down, and we're going to lift and lower just the littles. And again, just noticing if there's any difference from doing these little exercises. Okay. All right. Let's do Barbie foot on the left. All right. So we're pressing down into the bottoms of the toes. So the toes are you've got the pads of the toes on the floor, right? So your toenails are up and the pads of your toes are on the floor. And we're just kind of holding here, and then I'm going to go from side to side. So a little more pressure into the big toe creates more of a stretch through there. And I didn't mention this on the other side, but if your foot is closer to your chair, that's going to give you more leverage for a deeper stretch. As opposed to if your foot is way out in front of you, you're not going to get quite as much of a stretch. So you decide, right? What can your foot handle, right? Maybe it's different on this side. Maybe your foot is able to stretch a little bit more on this side. Maybe it was able to stretch more on the other side. So we're just going back and forth and just noticing. So the big toe, if I go over into the big toe side, like what's happening there? If I go into the little toe side, what's happening there? So breathing in, breathing out. Kind of exploring that a little more slowly for yourself. Okay. And then we're going to come up on point, right on the tops of the toe, the tips of the toes rather, and very light, right? So it's almost like your toes are just grazing the floor a little bit here, right? So you're feeling the muscles here in your leg have to work. You're breathing in, breathing out, pressing into your sitting bones. Sit up nice and tall. That also helps with this, right? So nice, slow, steady breaths. And then let's go on to the top of the foot. So we're stretching the top of the foot, just like we did on the other side. So pushing down as much as is comfortable. Again, if your foot is under your chair, you're gonna get a little more of a stretch than if it's out in front. And a little more to the big toe side. You're gonna feel it from the big toe up into the top of the foot on that side, up into the shin on the inside. If you press more into the little toe side, you're gonna feel it more on the outside of the foot and the outside of the ankle. All right, so just again, be really gentle here. So we have a little more vulnerability with the foot in this position. That's why we don't walk around like this, right? Because that would be dangerous. The muscles on the bottom of your foot, or I'll say the tissue, because it's more than just your muscles, but the tissue on the bottoms of your feet are responsible for absorbing the impact of your footfall when you walk during gait. And then it's responsible for pushing you off. The muscles on the top of the foot, their job is to make sure you lift your toe when you swing your foot forward, right? So if I'm swinging my back foot forward, right, to take another step, the muscles in the top of the foot, they got to make sure those toes are lifted. Otherwise, I'll drag my toe and I'll fall. So that's their job. So we're still pressing, right? You guys with me? Very quiet group today. Yeah. Concentrating, focus. Okay, good job, everybody. All right. Let's come up onto the toe tips again. Tips of the toes. Again, very light touch here. So it's like you're standing little ballerina on the egg, right? So you want to be very light on your toes. And then we'll go into Barbie foot. So press down and really open up those toes a little bit more. When we have the top of the foot under, so we're curling the toes under, that's a compressive force on those bones and on the joints there. And when we have the foot in this Barbie position, it's an expansive force for that. Okay, and then let that go. Slide all the way back into your chair. So we're sliding forward, sliding back today. We're going to do the same thing. So we're going to extend the legs and now point and flex. And notice, hopefully your ankles both feel a little more open. And then circle around, circle, circle. And reverse circle and breathe. If I didn't say that, this is a good time to do it. And then check for gum. All right. Wow. I can see a lot farther when I turn my feet in. I still can't see too far when I turn my feet out. I don't know about you. And then let's do the little windshield wiper thing just with the ankles. Good. Okay. Let's lower that down. And now we're going to take the right leg, and we're going to extend it out. So your left leg can be relaxed, maybe your foot on the floor or hanging out. And we're going to slowly bend that knee, bring the foot as far back as you can, and then lift again. So we're going to slowly lower down and lift. And now we're going to start a count. So the next time you're lifted, you're going to hold there. And we're going to count to 3 slowly as we lower down. So just 1, keep the leg muscles here really active, 2, and 3. And extend and take it slow. 1, 2, 3, and extend and take it slow. 1, 2, 3. Keep your toenails reaching toward your shin. 1, 2, 3, and last time 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to extend and hold and breathe. And keep those muscles nice and strong. Okay, can we count to 5 as we lower down? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good. Let's do the same thing on the other side. So just extend and bend a few times. And when you are moving your leg, you want to keep your toenails reaching toward your shin. That activates the muscles in your foot. And the muscles in your foot, some of them live in your foot exclusively, but a lot of them actually live partly in your foot and partly in your leg. So when you're extending your toes like that, bringing them toward your shin, we're really activating those muscles in the leg as well. So the next time you extend, we're going to hold. And let's count to 3 as we slowly lower down. 2 and 3, and extend. And 1, 2, 3, and extend. Good. And as you're lowering down, keep these muscles here nice and strong, even as we're lowering down. Good. And then let's extend that leg, and we're going to hold it there and breathe and press out through the heel. Draw the toenails toward the shin. Keep breathing in, breathing out. Slowly lower down. Let's extend both legs. Okay, so really push out through your heels and push your low back into the chair. So if you have pants that are kind of slidey, you can just kind of hold on to the chair a little bit. So you're pushing out through your heels and you're pushing that low back into the chair. And then as you breathe in, if this is comfortable, so if you have some shoulder issues and you don't want to work with this, that's okay. But if you'd like, you can raise your arms up as you breathe in and lower your arms down as you breathe out. So the legs stay active and strong, right? We're just lifting and lowering the arms. Good. And keep your toenails reaching toward your shin. So nice, strong legs. Nice, strong legs. This is good for your knees. Now, if this feels okay, you're going to, next time you bring your arms up, we're going to hold here. If you feel dizzy or uncomfortable at all, bring your arms down. Otherwise, press the palms of your hands up toward the ceiling and push up like you're trying to push the ceiling up and away. Let's see if we can take 3 full breaths here. That's 1. That's 2. And 3. And lower your arms. And let's take 5 to lower the legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Excellent. Slide forward. You use the heels of your hands and give your thighs a little massage here, all the way to your knees. So those muscles, we're just doing a whole lot of work. And you want to use the heels of your hands because that takes some of the pressure off all those little bones in your fingers, right? All right. Okay. So we're going to scoot over a little bit to the right. Have your left foot like right in front of you. Take your right foot out maybe, I don't know, about 18 inches or so. Just a little bit. It's not very far. And we're just going to lower the knee and bring it out. So we're starting to warm up the hip joint now. So your hip joint, people often are confused about the hip joint. So your hip joint is actually the leg bone, which is your femur. It's this nice big bone like this, and it's got a ball on the top of it. And it comes into your pelvis or your pelvic bone on this side, and it forms like a ball and socket. So as we're doing this movement with the leg, we are rotating that ball and socket a little bit. And that is warming up the joint fluid. There's something inside all of our joints that's called synovial fluid, all the mobile joints. That's called synovial fluid, and that gets kind of thick when we sit. When we don't move it, that's why you get up and you're like, yeah, I need the oil can, right? So this is like the oil can. So we're just kind of going in and out. Good. So we got that warmed up a little bit. Let's kind of put that foot on the floor. And now take your left hand to your chair, and you're going to make a nice strong arm here. Right? So you want to keep the shoulder down, but you want this arm strong. For some people, you're going to be able to straighten your arm. For other people, if your arm is longer, you might have to have a little bend in it. But the arm is going to help you keep your spine up nice and tall. So what we're going to be doing here, what we're going to be doing here is lifting and lowering the foot off the floor just a little bit. There's many ways to do this, but I want us to focus on using the muscles here in the front of the hip to do it. In other words, I'm not going to lean to do this, and I'm not going to flex my spine to do this. So my arm is here to help me keep the integrity of my torso. So I'm just lifting and lowering, and I'm here and I'm noticing I need to go in a little bit more because my bum is hanging off on that weird little groove. So your foot is maybe like 10 inches from the other foot. You're not way out to the side. Right? Everybody got that? How's that feel? You don't have to lift too high, right? Maybe ½ inch. You don't have to lift high at all. Okay, so let's pause for a moment. So the next piece of this, we're going to be lifting the leg again without using the body. We're going to be lifting the foot off the floor, going out to the side, and then lowering down. And each time we lower down, we're going to pause. In other words, we're not going real fast, kind of bouncing from one to the other, and we're not doing a rotation. We're actually using the muscles in the front of the thigh and in the inside of the thigh and the outside of the thigh to lift and move that leg in a very discrete way. So whenever you're ready, again, kind of holding on here, creating that nice, that good tension in the spine, we're going to lift the foot, and then we're going to go out to the side and lower down. Now, you don't have to go out really far. You can go out just enough that it feels like it's a little bit of a challenge for you. So the challenge is in the movement, right? So notice if you're holding your breath when you lift. That's a sign that you're lifting too high. So maybe my whole movement is here. Maybe that's my whole movement this morning, because my hip is just saying, that's what I'm going to do. Maybe my movement is way out to the side, because maybe that's what my hip is going to do. So I'm just paying attention to my body. You're paying attention to your body, right? Next time your leg is out, we're going to stay there. And now I'm going to scoot out a little bit because I'm, again, in that weird position. I don't know if it's just me or not. And then I'm going to drop the knee in and out. So before we had the foot just about 18 inches away from the other foot. Now we've got the foot way out. If you can get like 45 degrees between your knees, that would be great. Dropping that knee in and out. Now we've got the leg bone at a different angle in the hip socket, and we're rotating it there, right? So it's a little different feeling than when the leg bone is straight up and down and we're rotating. And we're breathing our way through this. Yes, we are. Okay, so a little more here. All right, so now we're going to extend the right leg. And when we extend the right leg, I want you to have your toes facing me, right? So in other words, I'll just kind of demonstrate. So I'm going to have the leg out to the side, and the toes are facing forward, not out to the side. They're facing forward. That provides a little different stretch. Can you all feel that on the inside of the leg, maybe the groin, the hip, that maybe into the buttocks a little bit too? So strengthen the muscles here in the front of that leg and reach out. It's almost like you're trying to reach out through your ankle toward the wall. That might seem weird, but see if you can kind of visualize or imagine that you're reaching your ankle bone out to the wall. And then you're sitting up nice and tall. You've got your left hand on the chair. We're just going to lean into that left side a little bit, and then we're going to come back up. All right? So we're leaning into the left side, and as you lean into the left side, if you feel like you're collapsing the rib cage here, I'm going to ask you to imagine you got like a big beach ball here on the side, and you're trying to stay up and over that beach ball. So you've got length in the left side as well as length in the right side. Inhale and exhale. Good. How about one more time? Excellent. Okay, and now we're going to turn the toes toward the wall with the TV and lift them up off the floor. Reach them toward your shin, right? So now we've got the foot, so we're facing forward, the body's facing forward, the leg is out to the side. Again, I'll show you here. So we went from here, so we were like that. Now we've turned the foot in this direction. So we're trying to get this leg kind of as far out to the side as is possible. Okay, so here we are. Good. Okay, so we've got that left hand on the chair again, and we're going to lean into that left side again, right? So as you lean into the left side, just notice what you feel. And if you want, if your shoulder and arm will allow for this, you can bring your arm up overhead as you lean into the left side, and then come all the way back. So if you're using your arm, go far enough over that you can feel a stretch in through that right hip. If you're feeling the stretch under your arm and into your rib cage, side of your waist, that's okay too, right? Maybe there's a little bit of movement that we need to get in that location. If you're feeling dizzy or uncomfortable with the arm up overhead, I'm going to just have you bring your hand back down to your hip. So with your arm up overhead, whenever you're exercising, whenever you're moving with your arm up overhead, that increases your blood pressure and it increases your heart rate a little bit. That's a good thing for the most part. Next time you're up over there, let's hold here if you can. See if you can reach your fingers as far away from your toes as you can. Keep breathing. Nice, slow, steady breaths. Good. And then come all the way back. Excellent. Let's bend that right knee. Bring the heel underneath the knee. So we've got about 90 degrees between the left knee and the right knee, right? And again, if you need to position yourself because there's that weird little groove on the chair, go ahead and do that. And now what we're going to do is facing forward. So I'm trying to line my navel up with my left knee a little bit. We're going to take the right forearm and we're going to bring the right forearm down onto the right thigh, okay? And then come up. So we're going to do that a few times. So we're bringing the right forearm down onto the right thigh. And as we're doing this, try not to let your rib cage on that right side collapse. Again, you're thinking of lengthening on that side. Good. And the next time you're over, we're going to hold here and breathe. Now lean your body weight into that arm, right? See if you can relax into that. If you're feeling a stretch in through here, through the side of the hip or the side of the waist, you can stay right there. Otherwise, you can inhale as you bring your arm up and exhale as you bring your arm down, right? So that's the whole movement here. Pay attention to your body. If this is not working for your shoulder, if this is making you feel uncomfortable, just have your hand resting on your thigh or resting on your hip. If you want to continue with the arm, the next time you're up with your arm, you're going to hold here and you're going to turn the palm of your hand up toward the ceiling. Push up with the hand, like you're trying to push the ceiling tiles up, and then go over toward the TV with that arm a little bit more. So you should really be feeling a stretch here through that left side, yeah? Everybody with me? Everybody want to be somewhere else? I can tell. All right, one more breath in and out. Good, and then let's lower that arm. Excellent. Let's come all the way up. Holy moly. Let's go over to the center of the chair, and you're going to take that right ankle and cross it on top of the left knee straight away. Find your big ankle bone on the outside? Keep that big ankle bone on the inside of your leg if you can, right? So this is with my ankle bone on the outside of my leg. This is with the ankle bone on the inside of my leg. Now to keep the ankle bone on the inside of the leg and not put too much stress on the ankle, you need to activate that foot, which means going from just relaxed to pulling the toes toward the shin, right? So you really want to pull your toes toward your shin. That's going to strengthen the ankle. Okay, so sitting up nice and tall, right? As we're holding here, notice what you're feeling in that leg, that hip, that knee, maybe even the ankle. If it's uncomfortable, deepen your breathing. If it's comfortable, bring your torso forward a little bit until it gets uncomfortable, and then deepen your breathing. So we want to find the edge wherever that is, right? For some of us, just being in this upright position is more than enough. And I'm just going to stay here, I'm going to hold, I'm going to breathe. For some of us, we need to come forward a little bit. Now, if you're dropping your head, you've gone too far, right? So you want to keep your spine nice and long as you come forward, like you're trying to bring your belly button forward, but not your head. You're not trying to look at your belly button. Good. Keep breathing. Keep finding that edge. And as you hold and breathe, you might notice that after a few breaths, you can actually come forward a little bit more. Quite often, when we come into a stretch like this, what's creating the discomfort is we're fighting it. We're fighting it by tensing the body. We're fighting it by holding the breath. So if I can just kind of tune into my breathing, let that relax a little bit, that starts to calm my nervous system down, and it usually results in a different experience of the stretch. Now, sometimes this can take a minute or so. Sometimes it can take several minutes. So in this particular stretch, this is called a figure 4 stretch in physical therapy terms. In yoga terms, it's called the pigeon stretch. I don't know why, because I've never seen a pigeon do this. But anyway, It can take a little longer because these are bigger muscles here. So just a couple more breaths. Excellent. And then come all the way up. Whew, let's see if we can slide that knee on top of the knee. And then using your hands, just give that side of the leg and hip a nice little massage, because that was quite a stretch in there, my friends. Quite a stretch. You can go all the way up to your hip, your butt, your back, wherever you're feeling it, down to your lower leg. Okay. And then let's uncross the legs. Extend them out. Point your toes. Hold on to your chair. Point your toes like you're trying to crawl your feet right up to me, and lengthen your legs so your knees are straight, straight, straight. And notice if your right toes go out farther than your left. Your right leg's a little longer, right? Just by making all of those nice adjustments in the hips and the knees. All right, bend your knees, bring your feet in, and scoot yourself over to the left a little bit here. Bring your left foot out, I don't know, about 18 inches. Not too far, so not way out here. It's just about here. And then we're just going to lower the knee in and out. So again, we're starting with the leg in this position, kind of, and the hip joint, and we're rotating the leg, so we're getting a little bit of movement this way, right? Warming up that joint. So the blood supply to your joints kind of dries up in young adulthood, like somewhere around 30 or so. You just don't have that same blood supply. So it really requires movement. The older we get, the more movement we need to feel good. The joint fluid itself is very thick and slippery. I was just talking to the Feet First folks about this, I think on Monday, about how the joint fluid is like one of the slipperiest substances on earth. It's hyaluronic acid, and it's very, very slippery. So that's what makes it easy for these movements to occur. Okay, so then let's relax that. We're going to hold on to the chair with the right hand, and again, create like a nice strong structure here with your arm and your chest. Your elbow can be bent a little bit, depends on the length of your arm. Some people are going to have the arm straight, some people will have it bent a little bit. And then we're just going to lift and lower that foot. And see if you can lift and lower the foot without leaning your body. I'm in that groove again. So we're lifting and lowering the foot. And your foot is fairly close to the other one. If you look down, your foot's nice and close to the other one, right? Good. Okay. And then we're going to take this leg up. We're going to go out and place it down, right? That's the whole movement. Breathe as you lift, come in and down. And try not to move your upper body, right? So that's the key. I think we all want to lift higher, so we lean just a little. Yeah. See if you can do this without leaning. So we're really using the muscles here in the front of the hip, the inside of the hip. Good, and the next time that you come out and you've got that foot on the floor, we're going to scoot over a little bit more and open up that leg a little bit more, and then drop the knee in and out. In and out. So now we've got the leg at this big angle, right? And we're rotating. We're rotating. So we're just opening up that joint in a little different way, maybe in a movement that we don't do very often. Does anybody do this kind of movement often? You do? I don't. I'm thinking like of all the things I do in my life. I mean, like functionally, right? Unless you're doing this movement specifically, but we don't get this kind of movement in the joint very often. Well, okay. Okay, and then we're going to take that leg and extend it out with the toes facing forward, right? So we got the toes facing forward. Again, adjusting your position on the chair so that your leg feels okay. So for those who can't see, so we went from this position, and now we're in this position with the leg extended and the muscles here really nice and strong. So we're getting a stretch through the inner thigh. It's mostly inner thigh that we're targeting, but you might be feeling it in other places, right? So we're all a little bit different in how we carry our bodies, the tensions that we have in our bodies. And I don't mean tension in a bad way, because you need tension in your body, otherwise you'd be a big puddle on the floor. So you need some tension in your body. So we're just breathing in, breathing out. Right hand on the chair. We're just going to lean into that right side a little bit and lengthen that leg a little more. We're just going to go back and forth a few times. So we're just really starting to explore here. A little bit of exploration. Excellent. How about one more time, just kind of over and back? Good. All right. And then we're going to take that leg now and we're going to turn the foot toward the kitchen wall and lift your toes toward your shin. So once again, we went from here, we went from that position, and now we're in that position, right? So the leg is out to the side, and your spine is nice and tall, and you're breathing, and you're smiling and having fun. And then with that right hand on the chair, we're going to lean into that right side, holy smokes, and up. So do that a few times. If you want to add the arm, anytime you want, or not, right? So it's your choice. If you do, you're going to lean over. It's a nice slow movement. See if you can lean to a point where you're getting that sensation of stretch. I don't know about you guys, but my hips are really saying hello to me this morning. All right, over, and then the next time we come over, we're going to stay there. And again, arm or not, doesn't matter. If you do have your arm, you're going to turn your palm up toward the ceiling and then see if you can reach over a little bit more. Ooh, really feel that stretch, right? Keep the toes reaching toward the shin now. Don't let your foot relax. That's the tendency. We want to do that. How about one more breath here? We're doing okay? Yeah, I see 2 smiles in the whole class. And then come all the way up. Great. All right, let's bend that knee. Bring the heel underneath the knee. Okay, so once again, we're aiming for about 90 degrees, between the knees, right? And navel is kind of facing that right knee a little bit more. We're going to take the left elbow or forearm, and we're going to bring that down onto the thigh. So let's just test that out a couple times. What does that feel like to lean? And you can lean right into that, right? How far out can you go? Yep. So the farther out you go, the less of compression you're going to have on that left side. So the closer to your knee you can get that, the better. And the next time you're there, you can just kind of hang out. So if you're not there, do 1 or 2 more, that's fine. So here we are. We're just kind of leaning in this position. And again, I'll invite you, if you want, you can bring your arm up overhead, maybe breathe in and bring the arm up, and then breathe out as you bring the arm down. You're still leaning all your body weight into that left arm, right? So we're just trying to get a nice stretch for that right side. Your neck, if you keep your neck engaged, keep your head engaged, or your neck engaged so your head is kind of up a little, or you can relax your neck muscles and let your head hang, whatever feels better for you, right? So we all have a little preference. And then if you're doing the arm, the next time you have the arm up, you're going to turn your palm up toward the ceiling, push up like you're trying to push up on the panel, and then over a little bit more, holy smokes. Side of the waist, hip, pelvis, top of the thigh, armpit, arm. Let's see, where else? What did I miss? Underside of the shoulder, biceps, triceps. Yes, thank you. All those. And then come all the way down. Good. Let's push that all the way up. Excellent job. Let's scoot that foot over. Bring your body back to the center. And we're going to go right into that cross. So once again, find that big ankle bone, that nice juicy ankle bone, and have it on the inside of your leg if you can. All right. Sit up nice and tall. Have some pressure into that right foot, so your right foot is supporting you. Now, if this is enough, if you're feeling a lot going on that left side, anywhere on that left side, just kind of stay here and breathe into it. If you're thinking, well, I could really use a little more sensation, because don't you always say that to yourself? Just come forward a little bit, right? Yeah. That's not unpleasant enough. Let me see if I can go farther forward. Let's see where that is. And so once again, when we come into this can be a really intense stretch here, in through the hip, the leg, the knee, because we've got the hip uh, at an angle. We've rotated the femur in the hip socket, so we've got the leg at a bit of an angle. We've got some pressure on the knee, and with the ankle bone on the inside of the leg, that is increasing that angle a little bit. So anytime we bump up against that, we tend to tense up, and that's what creates more discomfort. So as you're holding here and you're breathing, you might notice, well, this is not as uncomfortable. Let me see if I can find that edge. Let me see if I can come forward a little bit more and find out where that discomfort is. Because chasing discomfort is actually a good way to grow, right? Besides just being torturous for some of us, it's a good way to grow. If something is comfortable, you don't change it, right? If something's comfortable, our tendency as humans is to not change that. It's only when something gets uncomfortable that we change it. I think about PT. Anyone who's ever had PT, right? As soon as the pain stops, what happens? Stop doing your exercises, right? Yeah. It's like, wow, wouldn't it be cool if you just keep doing them, even when there's no pain? Then you wouldn't have to go back to PT in a year. All right, and then let's come all the way up. Excellent job, you guys. All right, let's cross knee on top of knee. Holy smokes, let's give that a nice massage through there. And you might notice it's a little different, one side to the other, right? Okay, let's do our leg length check. So we're going to uncross. Sit up at the front of your chair, point your toes, bring them to the floor, like walk your toes out like you're trying to walk way up here to me, and notice. I hope your legs are the same length. Are your toes on the same parallel? Awesome. All right. So relax your legs, sit back for a moment. We're just going to tune in to what's happening here, relaxing your body, close your eyes. Take a couple of nice deep breaths in and out. Just feeling your toes, your feet, the tops of your feet, the bottoms of your feet, feeling your ankles, your legs, your knees, your thighs, your hips, even your waist and low back, the top of the pelvis out on the side, like the top of your hip on the side. Maybe your arms and shoulders, because we did a little bit of work with the arms and shoulders this morning. We got a little bit of that going. And then noticing your breath, breathing in, breathing out. Feeling the air as it moves in, feeling the air as it moves out. Breathing into your belly as if you could send the inhalation right down into your belly. And then as you exhale, just kind of pulling it up from your belly all the way out. Let's take in one more full deep breath. Pause for a moment. Take in a little bit more breath, and this time as you exhale, open your mouth and let it out with a sigh. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And thank you, everybody, for being here today. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your week. And I forgot to tell the other class, but there's no yoga next week. There's a breakfast here. So, oh, and we turn the clocks ahead. Yes, so public service announcements here. Yep, yep. So I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. So